Some lessons in life hit harder than a boardroom slap. These executives laughed at the wrong person and paid the price. The smell of fresh coffee drifts through the air as polished shoes click against the marble floor. It's another morning at Hamilton Reese, one of the most prestigious corporate firms in Phoenix, Arizona. The office is a sea of tailored suits, confident handshakes, and expensive watches flashing under the fluorescent lights. Amid the morning rush, Denise Parker, a middle-aged black woman, quietly pushes her cleaning cart through the hallway. Dressed in her company-issued uniform, navy blue slacks and a gray polo, she keeps her head down, moving from office to office, wiping desks, collecting trash, and scrubbing away the remnants of late-night meetings. She doesn't expect acknowledgement, and she doesn't get it. A group of executives stand near the break room, laughing over their morning coffee. Denise hears her name, but not in a way that suggests respect. Man, she's always here. You'd think she owns the place. She probably makes more money off overtime than some of our interns, another one jokes, sending a ripple of laughter through the group. One of them, a junior manager named Ethan Brooks, leans against the counter, smirking. Imagine doing that job for 20 years. Couldn't be me. They don't lower their voices. They don't think they need to. Denise, still wiping the counter nearby, says nothing. Just a slight shift in her eyes, a flicker of something unreadable. Then she moves on, grabbing her cart and wheeling it toward the next office. But the moment doesn't go unnoticed. A young intern, Mark Stevens, watches from the doorway, gripping his coffee cup a little tighter. The laughter unsettles him, but he says nothing. He's new here, barely a month into his internship, and speaking up isn't exactly an option. Not yet. Denise disappears down the hallway. The laughter fades as the executives move on with their day, completely unaware of what's coming. But by tomorrow, their smug grins will be gone. The morning chaos settles into routine. Phones ring, keyboards clatter, and the hum of corporate chatter fills the air. Denise moves through the 21st floor of the building with quiet efficiency, emptying trash cans, wiping desks, and straightening chairs. She's done this for years. It's second nature by now, like breathing. She knows who leaves half-finished coffee cups on their desks, who hoards stacks of old reports they'll never read, and who gossips the most near the copy machine. She's invisible to them. At 8:45 a.m. sharp, she reaches conference room B, where the senior executives meet every morning. The long glass table is smeared with fingerprints and coffee rings. She sprays disinfectant and starts wiping, her movements smooth, practiced. Behind her, a door swings open. A few executives stroll in, Ethan Brooks, Tom Reynolds, and Jessica Lane, all in their mid to late 40s, dressed in tailored suits. Ethan, the same man who had laughed earlier, glances at Denise before turning to Tom with a smirk. "Hey Tom, you ever wonder what it's like to clean up after people for a living?" Tom chuckles. "I'd quit the first day." Jessica shakes her head, amused but not disagreeing. "You have to admit, it's kind of depressing." Denise doesn't flinch. She just keeps cleaning, moving her rag in slow, steady circles over the table. But Mark, the intern, overhears it all from his desk outside the conference room. His grip tightens on his pen. He can't believe how casually cruel they are, how effortlessly they dismiss her as if she isn't even standing right there. Denise finishes wiping the table and steps aside as the executives take their seats. She grabs her cart and heads toward the door. Then Ethan chuckles again. "Must be nice not having real stress. No deadlines, no board meetings, no big decisions. Just a mop and a paycheck." Jessica giggles under her breath. Denise pauses at the door for just a fraction of a second, not enough for them to notice. But Mark sees it. Then, without a word, she pushes her cart forward and disappears down the hallway. She's seen people like them before. She knows exactly how this plays out. The day drags on. Meetings, emails, conference calls. The office moves like a well-oiled machine, but underneath the polish, it's the same cycle of arrogance and entitlement. By 7:15 p.m., most of the employees have packed up and left. The hallways are quieter now, the usual corporate energy replaced by the distant hum of vacuum cleaners and the occasional murmur of the cleaning crew. Denise moves through the empty corridors, wiping down desks and tidying up the break room. She likes this time of day, when the noise dies down, when no one is around to remind her of her supposed place. In conference room B, she sprays the glass table again, wiping away the crumbs and coffee stains left behind from yet another meeting. The night shift is routine, nothing surprising. Until the door swings open behind her. Mark. The young intern steps inside breathless, looking around frantically. He spots his laptop, still sitting on the table from earlier. "Oh man, I almost lost it," he mutters, grabbing it and exhaling in relief. Denise offers a small smile but says nothing, just continues her work. But before Mark can leave, voices echo from the hallway. It's Ethan, Tom, and Jessica. They don't know Mark is in the room, and they definitely don't know Denise is still inside. "Man, that cleaning lady is still here. What does she do all day?" Ethan laughs. "Probably takes her sweet time so she can milk those overtime hours," Tom scoffs. Jessica chuckles. "Imagine getting excited over a paycheck that small." Denise doesn't react, not even a flinch. Mark, however, goes rigid. He wants to say something, but what? He's an intern. These people hold his future in their hands. He glances at Denise. She catches his eye, and for the first time, he sees something different. Not sadness, not anger, just patience. As if she's seen this exact moment play out 1,000 times before. And then, without a word, she turns back to her cleaning, moving her rag in slow, methodical circles. Mark doesn't move. He watches as the executives continue their conversation down the hall, completely oblivious to the moment they just created. For them, it was just another joke, just another cheap laugh. But tomorrow, they won't be laughing. The next morning, the executives at Hamilton Reese arrive as usual, unbothered, unshaken, and unaware that anything is about to change. Ethan strolls in, coffee in hand, adjusting his cufflinks. Tom and Jessica are already in the break room, chatting about weekend plans. Mark, sitting at his intern desk, can barely focus. His mind replays the conversation from the night before. But when an urgent email hits everyone's inbox at 8:30 a.m., sharp, the office energy shifts. Mandatory executive meeting, 9 a.m., conference room. The subject line alone is enough to send murmurs through the office. Meetings like this don't just happen. Something is up. By 8:59 a.m., the senior executives are seated around the long mahogany table in conference room A. The air is thick with confusion, some muttering under their breath, others scrolling through their emails, trying to figure out what's going on. Then, the door opens, and Denise walks in. Not in her cleaning uniform, not pushing a cart. She's wearing a sleek navy blue pantsuit, tailored to perfection. A delicate silver watch sits on her wrist. She steps inside with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly who she is and exactly what she's about to do. Ethan leans forward, blinking fast. Jessica's mouth falls open. Tom straightens in his chair as if his brain is still trying to catch up. But Denise? She just smiles. She pulls out a chair at the head of the table and sits down. "Good morning, everyone." The room is silent. Mark is sitting in the corner watching the scene unfold with an almost unbelievable sense of satisfaction. Denise folds her hands on the table. "Before we begin, I'd like to say something." She lets the pause linger, lets them sit in their own confusion. Then she leans in slightly. "It's interesting how people behave when they think no one important is watching." Tom swallows. Jessica shifts in her seat. Ethan's face flushes red. Denise exhales lightly, tapping her fingers against the smooth wood of the table. "Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Denise Parker. I am the owner and CEO of Parker Facilities Management, the company that has held the janitorial contract for this building for the past 12 years. The weight of her words drops like a brick. Ethan's eyes dart around the table, looking for some kind of confirmation that this is not happening. Jessica presses her lips together, her normally smug expression wiped clean. Denise tilts her head slightly. "I've spent over a decade overseeing every inch of this building, making sure it operates smoothly. And in that time, I've seen a lot." Her gaze lands directly on Ethan. "I've seen people step over those they believe are beneath them." Now he can't even look at her. Denise shifts her eyes to Jessica. "I've heard people mock the very hands that keep their workspace clean." Jessica's throat bobs as she stares down at her lap. Denise doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. But more importantly, I've learned that the way people treat others when they think no one is watching, that tells me everything I need to know about them. The room feels smaller now, hotter, She lets the words settle before leaning back in her chair, completely at ease. So, Denise exhales, clasping her hands. Let's talk about the future of this company. The power dynamic has shifted, and this time, no one is laughing. The weight of the moment is suffocating. No one dares to speak. Tom grips his pen like it's the only thing keeping him grounded. Jessica's breathing is shallow, her usual boardroom confidence completely gone. And Ethan? He looks like he wants to disappear into his chair. Mark watches from the sidelines, barely hiding his smirk. They deserve this. Every second of it. Denise stays silent for a moment, letting them sit in their own discomfort. Then, with a calm, measured tone, she continues. I want to be clear about something, she says, her voice unwavering. I'm not here for an apology. Words don't impress me. Actions do. Ethan's mouth twitches, as if he's about to defend himself, but he doesn't. What could he possibly say? Denise shifts slightly in her seat. For years, my company has provided this building with top-tier service, and yet, some of you, senior executives of a Fortune 500 firm, treat my employees like they don't matter, like they don't exist. She lets out a breath, tilting her head slightly. So tell me, if you don't respect the people who keep your office running, what does that say about you? Silence. Jessica looks down, avoiding Denise's gaze. Tom rubs his temple, the weight of embarrassment pressing down on him. Denise finally leans back in her chair. Fortunately for you, I believe in second chances. Ethan visibly exhales as if he just got a lifeline. But Denise isn't finished. Effective immediately, my company will be reevaluating its contract with Hamilton Reese. Tom sits up straighter. Wait, what? Denise folds her arms. We'll be restructuring how our teams operate. That includes reassessing which buildings deserve our services and which don't. Panic flickers in Ethan's eyes. He knows what this means. If Parker Facilities Management pulls out, this entire firm will be scrambling for a new contract. And that won't look good to their shareholders. Jessica clears her throat, her voice suddenly softer. Ms. Parker, I think we may have had a misunderstanding. We've always appreciated the janitorial team. Denise holds up a hand, cutting her off instantly. Save it. Jessica's mouth snaps shut. Denise's expression remains unreadable. She's not here to argue. She's here to make a statement. Respect isn't something you offer just because you got caught. It's something you practice every day. She lets her words settle before standing up, adjusting the cuffs of her blazer with quiet precision. I have a lot of work to do, but I expect this company to start making some serious changes. Immediately. She looks around the table, making sure they hear her. Because, trust me, if I don't see those changes, I walk. The reality sinks in. If Denise pulls her company's contract, it won't just be an inconvenience. It will be a financial disaster. No one is laughing now. Denise smooths out her suit jacket, then turns to leave. But just before she reaches the door, she glances over her shoulder. Her eyes meet Mark's. And in that moment, without a word, she nods. Mark nods back. Because they both know. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about setting the record straight. The meeting ends in stunned silence. No one dares to move. No one dares to speak. Denise walks through the hallway with the same quiet grace she's always carried. But this time, the power dynamic has shifted. This time, they see her. Mark watches from his desk, suppressing a small grin. He's never seen people like Ethan, Jessica, and Tom look so powerless before. And frankly, it's about time. As Denise reaches the elevator, one of the junior staff members, a receptionist named Carla, leans over her desk. Ms. Parker? She says hesitantly. Denise turns, raising a brow. Carla swallows. I just wanted to say thank you. A lot of us notice how they treat people, but we never thought... She stops herself, shaking her head. Denise gives her a small, knowing smile. The truth always comes out. It just takes the right moment. The elevator dings, and she steps inside. As the doors slide shut, Denise exhales softly. She's seen this all before. The arrogance, the entitlement, the false sense of superiority. But today was different. Because today, they learned a lesson that money can't buy. Respect isn't about titles. It isn't about wealth. It's about character. You never know who you're talking to. The person you mock, dismiss, or look down on. They might just be the ones signing your paycheck. But beyond that, this isn't just about power, it's about human decency. The way you treat people when you think no one is watching says everything about you. So ask yourself, how do you treat others when there's nothing to gain? Because one day, you might find yourself on the other side of the table.